everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast and Merry Christmas. And we are here to talk about 3 out of the 4 movies from this weekend. This is week 7 of Hallmark 2023 Christmas movies, and it's going to be a ton of fun. I am film critic Rachel Wagner, and Terry's here.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm pretty good.
You feeling better?
I'm feeling better. Yep. I'm on the mend.
That's good. Yeah, we had our we recorded our classics and modern ranking, Christmas movie ranking, and when you were a little bit more sick, and I was saying that people are going to be sending you like good well wishes for the next.
I will take
month.
all those well wishes and thank you.
Yes. So
I'll take all those positive vibes.
But people should definitely check out this week. We had our classics Christmas movie ranking, and we covered a lot of ground between both of our lists.
Did, surprisingly. Yeah. I thought we'd have more in common.
Yeah.
But we got, we covered a range.
We really did. It was fun. It was good. So check that out. But we're here to talk about 3 of the Christmas movies. The reason why we're only doing 3 out of the 4 is because the 4th one, Christmas with a Kiss, is going to be covered by the Mahogany Cast, and that will come next week because since there's so many of them to get together, they're not able to record until Saturday, and so then they will post it next week. So something to look forward to. It's always great hearing what those ladies have to say about the movie. But we get to talk about these 3 movies. And
yay!
Yay! And Terry, when we were doing our our movie from every year episode ranking Countdown to Christmas movie every year.
Yes.
I asked you the question of would you rather have a year of like kind of meh but like decent movies, like nothing like that great, nothing that horrible, or would you rather have ones with like really bad ones and really good ones, highs and lows? And we both agreed rather have the highs and lows than the year of meh.
It's definitely a year of that this year.
Unfortunately, the planners over at Hallmark chose option 2. They chose the meh.
They tried.
Option.
They tried.
I mean, there hasn't been that much that I've hated. That's what I'm saying. Like, there haven't been like awful movie. Most of them, I'm like, that was fine. If I'd like never seen a Hallmark movie before, I'd be like, that was cute.
It's mostly, for me, it's mostly been like, well, I'm a little underwhelmed, but it wasn't. I don't feel like it was a waste of time.
Yeah, like so to speak.
Yeah,
it was cute.
It's fine. I might forget it.
Yeah.
The very, immediately or the next day, but it's,
but just not that much that I'm like, what? I need to call these people and have them in because this is a really
might be one of them today.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. And I would say for me, all 3 of these were varying degrees of fine. Like,
very agree.
Fine to not good. Spectrum.
Oh boy.
It'll be interesting to see what you all listening, what you thought of them. We'd always love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And we have our Patreon group where we get to talk about all these movies as well. So you should check that out. And let's dive in. Let's talk about Time for Her to Come Home for Christmas.
Oh, the series that will not end.
Will not end. They're running out of pronouns, but it's
don't know what they'll do for a 7.
Yes.
But the 7 is coming.
Yeah. So this is director Ali Liebert, writers Marcy Holland, who I think has done almost all of them, or if not all of them, I'm not sure, but she's done a lot of these. Yeah. Dorothy Shacklefield, Travis Thrasher, and then stars Shanae Grimes Beach and Chris Carmack.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Carly heads to a small town to lead a church choir at Christmas time, facing her first holiday season without her mother. Let me read it again. Carly heads to a small town to lead a church choir at Christmas time, facing her first holiday season without her mother. While there, she reconnects with a man back in town after serving in the army. And so overall, what did you think about this one?
Well, this is a series that has more lows than highs for me.
Yes.
But overall, I kind of like this one. Like, I'm more on the like than not. It's not perfect, but I think it's better than the last 4, I guess it's
Whoa.
better.
Yeah.
I haven't liked any of the sequels. I liked the original, Time for Me.
Uh-huh.
And the others have just felt very manipulative emotionally to me.
Uh-huh.
And don't get me wrong, they have that twist here to make your eyes water.
Uh-huh.
But I was just so happy that this was a much more cheerful film than the
Yeah.
others have been recently. The music added a lot of levity to it, and it just felt more. The lighter tone was like I was happy for the lighter tone,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah. No, I agree. I would say it's definitely for sure better than the last two, no
Yes,
question.
yeah.
And then the one with Lacey, I think I liked that one a little bit more than most.
Mhm.
It was kind of I liked the idea of all these people getting these letters and figuring out the the
Right.
connection of
I
everybody,
almost
and
forgot she did one. I almost forgot she was in one of those.
that one's probably my favorite, I
Oh,
guess. I mean,
yeah, I am. Oh my
there's
gosh, I would hate to rank these movies. I wouldn't know where to go.
a ranking episode.
Oh no. I put that out there into the world.
Yeah, I it's definitely this was a sweet movie.
Totally.
I had my issues with it,
Ooh,
but
same. Yeah.
yeah, but if again, if I'd like never or I rarely, if this was like if I was the kind of person that watched like 2 Hallmark movies a year, and I clicked this on, I'd be like, oh, that was cute.
Right. Yeah, same.
You know what I'm saying?
I would think it was
And
perfectly adequate for the holiday.
yes, that's
Got all
right.
those emotions, like it's like, typical
Yeah.
Christmas. Oh,
No.
and I also found that this movie was much more spiritual, much more faith-based. I wouldn't say it's
Yes.
100% faith-based,
Well,
but
I
it
have
was
a bone
really,
to pick about that, but yes,
yeah,
I'd
it
agree.
really leaned into
Hmm.
that more than the others. Just a
I
different perspective.
yeah, no, I mean, I'd agree. A part of that was a
Hmm.
little I had a problem with it, but
Right.
I yeah, I mean, I think you have like likable leads and just the idea of starting a community choir and getting to know that it's cute.
Oh yeah,
It's like a
it's cute.
sweet
It's
story.
You're right. I
Yeah.
have issues too. Like I don't think there was any chemistry between the leads.
Yeah. It
And
was
some of
it was
the I don't know what direction they got, but some of the acting choices for certain scenes were just wonky. I felt like it
mhm.
was all over the place. But that's not to say that it's not a sweet story
Yeah.
of, finding family, grief, also dealing with grief
Yeah.
and this poor dude's in love with his best friend who doesn't love him back. So moving on, finding
Mhm.
a new path in life, I guess, starting over.
So
So they cover a lot of grounds.
he was in love with it, I get the names a little bit confused.
Mm.
That lady was Jenny,
I
right?
believe so.
With the blonde hair that
I'd have to look up the
um
names. I believe so. Yeah, that was his lifelong best friend.
yeah, and so there was almost a side of me that was like, is he going to end up with her? Because that was sort of the
I
way
would
the
have loved it
plot.
if they did that because that would have been,
Yeah.
you wouldn't see it coming.
uh well, you
Yeah.
kind of would because they were
Well,
building up
yeah, when they
this
said it, but like you would go in
second
thinking that they
chance.
were gonna. Yeah, I'm saying like normally you would think that they were going in and they would become a couple, and then when he says I'm in love with my best friend, I was like, ooh,
Hmm.
are we getting a little bit unexpected? But
Yeah.
no.
What didn't work at all was this reveal of there's I don't
Oh, yeah,
understand why anybody would keep the fact that they are somebody's aunt a secret. It's not like you're the birth mother or something like that has like a little bit more of
exactly.
an emotional pull or a little bit more of a, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
what? Like
This
that was
isn't a
just
long lost adopted daughter. Like this isn't a daughter you gave up
yeah,
for adoption.
like
This is your niece.
yeah.
Your brother wasn't the greatest father in the world. And I can understand the trepidations, but like they didn't want her to spend Christmas alone, so they came up with this huge elaborate lie.
Yeah,
Well, they needed a
it's
choir director anyway, but these are supposed this guy runs a church. These are supposed to be godly people, and they're gonna lie like this.
yeah,
I was
it
actually, but I will say I was very surprised when the reveal came that she went outside to take a deep breath because she was so emotional, then came back inside the church and say, I forgive you. I was like,
yeah,
this is the quickest turnaround that I have ever seen in like
it's
one of
true.
these
I like
type of
that too.
movies. Yeah.
there wasn't too much of the like, why did you lie to
No.
me?
The intent
But the
was
lie didn't
good,
make any sense. Like,
but the lie didn't make any sense. She could have just reached out, going, "I am your aunt. Can we try to,
yeah,
you know, bond?
there's
I
no
heard
like,
your mother died.
yeah,
I'm worried
there's
about
no
you."
like
Yeah. No.
expected amount of time or anything with like aunts and uncles, right? Unlike a parent where you're expected to be there and parent, and whatever.
Exactly.
And so like there's no sense of abandonment for somebody. There's just no reason to lie that you're somebody's aunt. It doesn't make
Exactly.
sense.
It doesn't. It's because they needed a twist. Since the second movie, I can't remember if there's a twist in the first movie. I don't believe so, because that's more of a
But I
road
just
trip
don't know why they
movie.
didn't just have her be a birth mother.
Right.
Like
But
that would have made
ever
way
since,
more
yeah,
sense. And that's why I
it
thought
would
they
have.
were going with it. And I
They
was like,
needed a twist. They needed a twist, and that's how they did. I was like, I had an inkling that I was like, please don't tell me she's related to the dad. It would have made it would have been better if she was adopted. And maybe that was her birth mother, and she had found out that her adopted mother had passed away and wanted to make the
yeah,
connection. She was ready for it. That would have made more
that would have
sense
made
than
way more sense.
I'm your aunt. Your dad was a deadbeat. That's just like you could have had a phone conversation.
Yeah.
She apparently she was very open to this, to a
Well, and
family
it makes no
reunion.
sense that her dad wouldn't have mentioned that he has a sister or that, I
Well,
mean, that
I could see it. He wasn't. He. I was going to
like it
say.
would
I'm sorry.
come
I was
up
going to
in
say he drop kicked
conversation
her. I
though.
know. I was going to say it in a very crude way. He drop kicked her, but he did abandon her, and she knew nothing about him for
Mm-hmm.
years. And then when
Yeah.
she got that letter, she said she wasn't ready to see him, and then he died.
That's true, I guess. Yeah.
And so, like, she didn't have that moment to take back because he died unexpectedly or whatever, and she wasn't ready to see him. So I could see her not knowing anything about him. But
Yeah.
yeah, but it is. I thought that is so weird, but it's there because they needed a twist. I don't know why they need to put twists in these movies,
Mm-hmm.
but they're like, we have to make the audience cry or like tug their heartstrings. And I don't think you needed that for this movie, because I do think
No.
it was heartwarming as it was the community helping each other out in the choir,
Yeah,
helping
because you
like
already had
the older man
him being
too.
a soldier, so you already have
Yeah,
kind of a little bit of emotion that way.
right.
And you also have the old man with his wife
Exactly.
having passed
Like,
away. So
yeah,
there was
his
enough there. You
yeah.
didn't need her to have a new aunt. It didn't work.
It's weird, but
The other bone to pick I have with this is that I know that they love
uh-huh.
this song and
Yep. Well,
it's in the title.
I know where you're going. Mm-hmm.
But it makes no sense if you're going to have a choir for part of a church that you wouldn't have a song about Jesus as the main song sung by the choir. That just
Right.
doesn't make sense. Why would you have
It
this
is.
like
It is
time
weird.
for me to come home for Christmas
That
song
was so weird.
as they only did one song?
It felt like, yeah, they only did one song, and and then they choose the most on. You're in a church service. It would be a religious hymn, or a
Yeah.
song with something of religious
Yeah.
association to it. Not that.
Yeah. Like if you wanted to do something a little more creative, you could do like High on a Mountaintop or, something like
Right.
that. But,
Yes.
and I know that they have the rights for this song. So that's probably part of the reason that they wanted to use it. But
Oh, they used
it,
the song much more in this movie than they did in any other movie.
yeah, it doesn't make sense for the character. Why would she pick that song for a religious service?
It
What?
makes no sense. I couldn't remember in the first movie. He is a country
Musician.
artist, right? He's a
Yeah,
musician. He's the one who wrote that song, right? In the first film,
I think so. It's
I think
going
so, because
back a
I
ways.
I know I can't remember. I said I wish, and I wasn't going to go back to rewatch it. I was like, I don't got time for this. I'm so behind on my Christmas movies because I was sick.
Because let's see, the first
You
one,
miss a day, you're behind,
yeah,
a ton.
no, it's
But
true.
I didn't think it was the same person singing it. I think it was really his song. But
Yeah.
I
So
was
the
like, there's a
first one,
continuity error here.
he's the musician. The second
Right.
one is Allison Sweeney, right?
Oh, that one. So manipulative in the emotions for
Yeah.
that
Oh,
one.
yeah. Um, and then
Lacey Chabert, the
Lacey's,
third one.
right?
Yeah.
In the third
And
one,
then
and then
the fourth
um
one is the road trip movie with the amnesia.
oh yeah,
Ridiculous.
Jesse Schramm, then the
Yeah.
Tyler one, and then now this. Oh wow.
Well, this one, I
Um,
will say again, I mean, we're talking a lot, we're slagging it a bit, but I would say it is very watchable.
yeah, no,
And there
it's
is,
true. It's true.
it's a very watchable, and it's not dour. And I was
No.
very thankful for that. You know, there's a
Yeah.
lot of positivity. Even though she's going through a rough time, she's lost her mom. She doesn't really have any family. She's still kind of happy. She's still finding the joy in life.
Yeah.
And she's happy being a choir director and teaching all these people. And so there is like, she's
Yeah.
not a sad sack going in. She's not
No.
miserable. She's not
Yeah.
like, I don't know
Then
how
there
to
are
go
some,
on,
yeah,
you know?
I liked everything with the choir, the
Right,
old man, and he's a grump, and he does the
right.
choir because
Because it reminds him of
it
his
was
wife. And
important to his
that's,
wife, who was a
yeah.
terrible singer, but got joy out of it. That was
That was
very
very
sweet.
sweet,
That was
very
very
relatable.
sweet.
And even with him, he's coming home he's finished his military stint and he's not broken from the military. He doesn't have any
Yeah.
trauma. Sometimes we put too much
Right.
trauma with these, vets coming home. He's looking to start a new chapter of his life. So
Yeah.
there's not a lot of, while it seems like there's heavy baggage, there's not a lot of heavy
Yeah.
baggage. It's just people starting
Yeah.
new paths, and so there is joy to this movie, which I
Yeah.
appreciated.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
I did
Well,
like the singing.
and the old man when he says and they ask him, "Are you excited for Christmas?" Why? It happens every year.
That was great.
That was
Yeah.
a funny line.
So
I
there's
also thought the scene where they're swapping records was cute.
yes, that was a cute scene. I was just so happy that this movie had some joy in it because man,
Yeah.
last year's was so dour with the dead best friends and the other two friends not speaking to each other because they, all this mistaken of who loves who. And I was like, okay, so they got the message and they gave us a bit more
It's just like
happiness
so
here.
much happening on answer machines. Like, what? People
Oh
just
yes.
listen to their darn
Also too, the
answer
guy who did
machines.
the accident. I forgot that too. There was so much happening last year that I'm overjoyed,
Hmm.
even though this is a
Well,
series that I don't really like, but that it was
uh-huh.
happy.
Well,
These
they were
people were
like
not
also cute
miserable.
scenes, like when they're making candles together
Yes.
and
Boy,
then
she had to
helping.
make, what was she doing? How many in one day? Like, girl, you should have started that like a week ago.
It's true. And
Candles
then
take time.
yes, and then they go and help the teen whose
Right.
mom is his mom's sick, right? Am I getting that
Yes.
right?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
They're
Like he didn't make it to choir and he's got to go grocery
yeah.
shopping and they help him decorate. And there's a great community feel to this
Yeah.
movie as well.
I
Yeah.
have to say, sometimes we do our best on these podcasts. I take as careful notes as I can, but man, some people they will just get so outraged if we have the slightest mistake. This is a live broadcast. And
Yeah.
we're not perfect. The other day, the Holiday Road, I'd forgotten that the influencer put up the Christmas lights. I just forgot. And there are a
Right.
lot of characters in that movie and a lot of stuff going on. And there were like the comment was, "Did you even watch the movie at all?"
I don't know. I watch like 50 movies in a day. I'm sorry I made one
Like
mess up.
I got one detail wrong
Yeah.
sorry.
I can
Did
know
you
a
even watch
movie.
it? Like,
Yeah.
come on.
I can know a movie inside and out, watch it 100 times. And it's just me. Sometimes I will get a detail wrong.
Yeah.
I'm fallible.
Yeah. Uh, but anyway, and it was cute, like when they're wrapping presents and
Yeah.
she like ties his finger with the bow. That was cute.
Right.
And then they sing "Hark the Herald Angels," and so I thought, okay, that's going to be
So
the kind
that
of
was
the final
great the way they
scene,
did that. Right.
not the
And
time
then
for me song. And
weird.
then
Like I'm so inspired by this song. I was like, okay, you're just shoehorning it in here. It's the title.
yeah,
Boy, Blake Shelton and his mom, they are riding the wave
they
with
sure
this
are.
song and the book that
Yeah,
his mom
yep.
wrote based on this song. I mean,
I would
good for
love
you.
to
Good for
know.
you.
I would love to know how much Blake Shelton does to get that executive. I mean, if he does anything at all, he probably doesn't do anything.
I
at
would
all.
say since the first movie, probably not.
Get
It's
that
just
executive
probably,
producer.
it's his stuff. So it's his mom's book and it's his song. So he's gonna slap my name on it.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they watch it and then he's like, okay.
I would.
I doubt it.
I doubt it.
Yeah, him and Gwen Stefani are
doubt
sitting down there watching these movies.
Maybe his mom or assistant does, maybe, but I would be
I'm sure the
shocked.
mom does probably, yeah. But yeah, him and Gwen aren't sitting there eating popcorn watching this.
Right. I thought the scene with the egg creams was cute. That was fun.
Yeah.
Something new.
Just so if they do a seventh installment, which they probably will, because apparently the ratings were really good for this movie.
Yeah.
Despite it is available on, it was a week early, and
yeah, that's interesting. I don't know
on Hallmark movies now. That. Yeah. So because I watched it early on Hallmark movies now, same thing with a world record. I was like, if it's going up early, I'm watching it to get it out of the way. So but I'm just so happy if they do a seventh one, whatever they do. I know people in the I know some of y'all have said y'all is coming.
Yeah, we asked in our Google chat, our group chat, what they
like. I couldn't possibly because doing they doesn't make any sense because they've done
time
them.
For they,
yeah,
no, that doesn't make sense. They've done them. So.
Y'all is coming, or was it you who said puppy? That's coming.
It was me who said puppy.
That's
time
coming,
for the puppy to come home. I mean, that would get great ratings.
Yeah, they love a dog movie. That's definitely on its way. We've put it out there, and they're taking notes now. Yeah. But if
you're welcome, Hallmark, for that idea, because that will get huge ratings.
That will get huge ratings, and if they continue to keep it on an upbeat, happy. Because I felt like this was much less manipulative than the other movies. I feel like they were more. So like they really wanted to string your heart out. Like, look how melodramatic more than anything else that we can be. And I was just so happy this one wasn't.
Well, and you're right, because she finds out the news that she has this aunt. Right. And then she goes outside. She has a moment, and then she comes back. I wish you had told me, but I don't regret coming here. That was the correct response.
I was floored. I was like, excuse me, what's going on here? Because usually they would drag that out.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was also happy they didn't drag that out, And I was like, well, it was towards, I was like, well, we only have so much time, but I was just happy, And
I did think that there was a pretty swoon-worthy line that he says to her at the end. I don't have a single regret because every choice I've made in my life has brought me to this moment with you. That was a good line.
That was a good line. So, and I was like, yes, he's getting them brownie points.
Yeah. So I would give this one. I'd give it like a 3.25, maybe 3.5, somewhere in that range.
I'd give it a solid 3. Solid 3.
3.25. Yeah.
Solid 3. It's worth a watch, definitely. Not perfect, but I think it's definitely worth a watch.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
Next, we have A Not So Royal Christmas. And this one is directed by Jonathan Wright, stars Brooke Giorse, Will Kemp, and it's tabloid journalist Charlotte attempts to land an interview with a reclusive count. In response, the royal family has a groundskeeper pose as the Count since the real one fled years ago. And this is written by Anna White, who has done some really good stuff in the past. Yeah, it's it's a movie. What were your overall thoughts about this one?
Where to start? Well, I didn't watch this one live because I was sick, going through it, whatever. I'm feeling 100% better. I don't know how I'd feel if I had watched this when I was sick, Rachel. It might have done me in. And so I started watching it, and I was like, I don't think this is as bad as everyone's saying it is. And then it kept going, and I was like, no, please stop. I just want my old-fashioned royal movies.
Yeah.
And I know they're trying to, like, the Royal Nanny last year was great, and that was a different spin on a royal movie. So I know you want to, like, not do the same thing, the same old, but I just miss that the modern day fairy tale of, like, a regular bumpkin of a person can fall in love with royalty, and then it ends with them getting together, and the royalty is not quitting their jobs to work at a mall, to become a florist, to become a scientist. I've seen all these, a fashion designer. That's the one that I've seen too recently. And all these weird things that no person in their right mind would do. Yeah. I understand people were influenced by Harry and Meghan, but Harry is living in a mansion in California, and he's still super rich. He's not working at a mall. So I don't want realism in my royal movies. And this one was so disappointing because not so him, but she was so unlikable to me. She was so rotten. And they were both liars, which I'm jumping all over here. I apologize.
Yeah. It's okay.
But to me, I felt like they made her to be the victim when she was undeserving of any of that. And she's rewarded for just being a terrible person.
Yeah.
And it was so boring. They didn't have fun with the premise of these people lying. Ooh, let me walk around Canada, with, the green screens, Rachel, the fake backdrops. Could it not be, I know you're trying, but you're in Canada here. Come on. And I don't know. It didn't work for me. It's so boring.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
It was pretty bad. There were a lot of fundamental problems with this movie that I could see how sort of this idea of this, that there was like ideas in here. I'm sure if we talked to Anna, she would, have interesting things to say about how she came up with this idea and, sort of this.
The premise is solid, actually.
It was, it had in its core, it had sort of screwball elements of like your Christmas in Connecticut, your, lies upon lies upon lies. And that can be really fun. Even like a Roman holiday, they're both, they're lying about who they are. And in the end, it's really, charming and wonderful. Right. And so I could see the like kernels in here, but there were, the execution is where there were so many problems. And I mean, we talked about in our worst of ranking that Brooke Girsay, you don't kind of realize it because she was Miss Christmas and we just sort of are endeared to her.
She's still coasting on that. Yeah.
And I'm sure she's an absolutely lovely, wonderful person, but she's had a lot of really bad Hallmark movies.
It's true.
And she was absolutely the wrong person for this role. 100%.
Of course. Now there's somebody on the keyboard going, Brooke Girsay is a goddess. Listen, nothing against her. She's great. But she's got, especially her holiday movies, to me, are clunkers.
Yeah.
And I agree that she is the wrong person.
They needed somebody with like a little bit of sass, like a Kimberly Susted would have been a million times better for this role. Somebody with like a little bit of edge, somebody that could be a little bit funny.
How old do you think they were supposed to be? As I thought Will Kemp did a pretty decent job because there were moments in this movie, like when they're having that big meeting and he's pretending to be the Duke and he pushes her chair in for her being all polite, but he does it too. And she's stuck to the table.
Yeah.
And she's trying to push the chair back and she can't because it's so heavy. Like if they had kept those moments in of like comedy, it would have been better, but they played it so straight. But I don't know what age they were supposed to be.
Yeah, no, that's true. I don't know either. I mean, they seem like, I would
guess
say
30s, right?
30 something. That she had been in this career for a while. She wasn't like fresh out of college or something. But yeah, like a lot of people could compare this to Snow Bride, and Katrina Law has way more edge, is way a better
Energy
fit.
too. There was not enough energy.
Mm-hmm.
There's a real lack of energy in this movie. It's not as funny as it should be. I don't know why they take it too seriously.
Because if it
like,
was
she's so hard.
If it was funny, then we wouldn't care that we're asked to believe this ridiculous premise, you know.
And they don't do anything. They walk around, they watch somebody light up, a Christmas tree.
Like Snow Bride is kind of ridiculous. Like, but it is funny, and it's got
She's
that
running
edge.
around with that dress. Yeah. There are moments when she falls with the car. I mean, she's the most horriblest best friend ever in Snow Bride, right. But like they run with the idea. I felt like they had no fun whatsoever, and you could have had so much fun.
I also think it was a mistake to not backdate this, because we're supposed to believe that in the year 2023 that prince of a whatever country this is could abdicate not a single photo is going to be taken. Nobody knows. Not a single person, like
even a lesser prince, like he was, like because he had the title of count. Yeah. He was a lesser, that's lesser royalty. Right. Sorry to all you counts out there. But even with which is fine because we can have all types of royalty movies. Right. I'm not going to be picky.
I mean,
but you're right.
Literally nobody would know.
Nobody snapping a picture of him and his probably now wife.
This is obviously like important enough that this tabloid, this Royal Gazette or whatever it was called, that it's important enough for them that to pay to have their person go over and get this big interview. It's like important enough that
she was lying about that. She was,
I mean that nobody like obviously there's some reader appeal. So the fact that nobody would know that this person had abdicated years ago, was evidently living some happy life.
There's no way you could have, and people would have applauded him abdicating for love.
Right. He'd have like a reality show. Let's be real.
For real, today's real, they would have. It's a bit like people applauded Harry when he stepped away as well. He's a bit different because he's not the heir. He's never going to be the heir. There's too many. Yeah, well, he's more than a spare now because he has like William's children are far ahead of him in like the line of succession.
Right.
So but still people applauded that. Like, hey, do your own thing, live your own life. Whatever drama happened after that is all aside. But I think people would applaud that. You're right. He'd get a reality show. There's no way they could pull it off. But I did love the idea of a gossip rag, just being about just talking about the royals. And I was like, I would subscribe to this.
Yeah.
It would have been it would have been the trashy stuff you read that you don't let anybody else know you read. It's kind of hidden away.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's The Trouble with Mistletoe by Jennifer Snow. It is the first of the Brook Hollow series. In best-selling author Jennifer Snow's sweet, wholesome Christmas romance, The Trouble with Mistletoe, our heroine learns that you can't say no to a mistletoe kiss, no matter who's under it. Since leaving Brook Hollow and her fiancé Luke Dawson 12 years earlier, Victoria Mason hasn't looked back. She's traded the small-town dream of marriage, kids, and family Christmas dinners for late nights working at a high-powered acquisitions firm, lunches at trendy New York restaurants, and jet-setting vacations on the slopes. So her latest work assignment to acquire Brook Hollow's sporting goods store poses a challenge for Victoria in more ways than one, because it's almost Christmas and she's got other holiday plans, and the owner is reluctant to sell, and the owner is Luke. She needs to wrap up the deal before she gets caught up in her old life and her old love, or becomes trapped under the mistletoe again. You can find The Trouble with the Mistletoe by Jennifer Snow wherever you purchase your holiday reads, or use the affiliate link in the description below.
None of the believability though would have been a problem if I was laughing and if the casting was on point. And I do think I wrote in my little capsule, I said, in a year with red, white, and royal blue, this isn't good enough. And I think there's something to that, in my opinion, that movie was absolutely outstanding and incredible chemistry.
I still have not seen it. I have to make the time. It's on my list. Like after Christmas, I'm just going to watch everything that
Yeah.
I've missed because
I mean,
I've got to watch Uma Thurman's accent in that movie.
yeah, her accent is
Um,
bad, but other than that, I absolutely loved
Yeah,
it.
I've
I
got to
thought
because I've heard nothing but good things.
yeah,
But
and
yeah, you need it to be.
I said
There was no life in this movie.
this was
No
so
life.
bland and surprisingly weak on the chemistry front. Yeah.
So bland. I think he was. I think, like I said, I think Will Kemp was good. I don't know the name of the actor, but the actor who played his advisor, I thought he was great. He just had that presence, that commanding presence. Like you believed him in that role. Like, yes, I'm a lord. I'm bossing you around. Or when he's like, you're walk straight, or you're slouching. Or when Will Kemp's like eating that breakfast and he goes, I could get used to this, and he just walks by the door. And he goes, don't, like real catty. I mean, I love that. I mean, he was the highlight.
I even thought that, I know a lot of people hated her boss, but I thought that he was more entertaining, like in like a villainous kind of way. Like
he was totally mustache twirling, and I appreciated that. He understood the assignment.
Yes, exactly. The actor did what he could with the role.
Right.
And there were fun little moments. Like, I don't know did they say where this country supposedly was supposed to be?
I think it's somewhere Nordic. That's all. I figured it. They said I can't. Well, now I don't remember. But
Ebelskivers and Ebelskivers are. I think those are Dutch.
I do think it was somewhere they were trying to approach, make it feel more of a Nordic country than not. But I am uncertain. If they did, I missed it because I was fuming from my ears about how terrible this movie was.
Oh, I guess Ebelskivers are Danish. Excuse me. Sorry. But I do love Ebelskivers there.
Yeah. So it's like, I think it's more.
So
I think
Denmark.
we're going with
so that
Nordic,
would be Nordic, yeah.
So.
Ebelskivers, they're like little pancakes, and there's not very many things that I would say it's worth buying a specific pan just to make this one item.
Right.
But Ebelskivers are the exception to that rule. They're so good, and they're like little like puffy pancakes. And
yeah.
I love them. They're so good. Wow. And there were like scenes with her with his mom making the crumb cake and
but how offended she was when the truth came out. That she's like, how dare you lie to me? How dare you do this? And then he's groveling, apologizing to her because she's like, I'm going to get even with you and I'm going to tell the world, blah, blah, blah. Like she's like a petulant child.
Yeah.
And then he's like, well, you only liked me because I was a duke. And she's like, oh, how dare you? But it was true. She only liked him because he was a duke, or that she thought he was a duke. She's not redeeming at all. These two people, he's more redeeming than she is, even though he's lying. He was trying to be helpful to the community. It didn't first start out that way, but in the end, he was like, I want to be helpful. And the community, obviously, they needed to count because it brought in money to that part of the country.
Have you ever seen the movie Dave?
Yes.
Okay. I felt like this was trying to get some of those dynamics going.
That was my initial thought when I was like, this is using the premise of Dave. Like he's trying to be helpful. But I didn't think, like, to me, she was the worst. And, like, she goes, even then, she goes, what you did to me was worse than what I did to you. Oh, I'm sorry. You snuck into that palace and you lied to him about an interview just so you could get, like, a tabloid story and a pay raise. I mean, she had no integrity either. He had some integrity, at least, if you're going to, like, nitpick it like that. But
that's the thing with Dave is that, like, Sigourney Weaver's character like is completely innocent of everything in the movie. And he's kind of innocent too. He's just trying to, like serve his country. He just happens to look like he's sort of taken in
a hostile takeover.
Yeah, taken in by the and so then when he goes and tries to help people, and like that's the thing too, is their version of helping people in this movie is like inviting everyone to the gala.
I don't exactly know how that would help finances, but okay.
I mean, it can help, like, I guess, with vendors and stuff like that.
True. Like he was trying to help he was trying to help the community that way. Because he's like, we've got a lot of craftsmen here, but
yeah, I mean, it's still a gala event. It's not like if somebody was going to want to come and feel comfortable, it's not like they can just show up in their regular like townspeople wear.
Let me put on my jeans.
And so, like, I don't know if really welcoming everyone to the ball is really that magnanimous of a gesture as they were making it out of this.
No, you invite everybody to the party, not a ball. Those are two
Yeah.
separate things, you know?
I do love in Dave when he's like, when he's going through the budget, and he's like,
Yeah.
there's a part in he's like helping people fall in love with their vehicles. Cut that out.
Because, yeah. It's basically what he was doing here too. I did get those. See, I think also perhaps this would have worked better if it was just one person lying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe if it was just
funnier.
him pretending to be the
like
thief.
again, thinking of like in Christmas in Connecticut with like lies get added to new lies to new lies to new lies to new lies.
Right.
And that's why you laugh, because like, and then certain people know what's going on, certain people don't, then certain people figure it out, and it becomes, that's what's funny, right?
You know, yeah. So I almost feel like if the real Count had suddenly died and they just didn't tell anybody.
Yeah, that would be like
you know, right? Exactly. Yeah, exactly. If they would have went more the Dave route,
yeah. So you
maybe
don't have
it
to
would have
believe
worked.
this like ridiculous premise.
Yeah, like, oh, he's sick and he can't come out or something like that. And then,
Yeah.
but people must have, I don't know how anybody was surprised, because people must have, because it showed, when she looked at a picture of the Count, it was when he was like a tween, I guess, right?
Yeah, right.
And it says he only advocated 4 years ago. People must have known what that grown man looked at. How did they not know that Will Kemp and he were not the same person?
It's ridiculous.
I almost thought that it was going to go, Will Kemp is going to be related to them somehow.
Yeah, I could have seen that. I
thought the mom was going to be like, well, in
find
reality,
out about his dad.
You are royalty. I thought that was coming that way.
Right.
But no, these two goops are rewarded in the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And I was rolling my eyes, you know.
I did think the scene with the rice pudding was kind of cute.
It was, yeah. Oh, God, I guess she's choking. I got the helmet. That would have been me, but it would have.
It was no Christmas getaway, but it was cute. Rice pudding.
Yeah.
And what else did?
Rice pudding could have been a little. It was a little undercooked though. When I was looking at it, I was like, my people do rice pudding as well, and I was like, I don't know about that. Yeah. You know.
Well, we have to talk about like what is going on in the grand tradition of Hallmark posters color swapping. That was the most interesting thing about this whole movie, which maybe says something. In fact, so the poster,
very true.
It has sort of a pink sort of aesthetic, pink purple, and then she is him there, and then she with the blue dress, and like a navy-ish kind of blue color, and then when she appears in this same dress in the movie, it's bright green. It's just bonkers. Like, why? Like, you would think that they would want to have her in a green dress on the poster,
because green is a Christmas color as well. Yeah,
you would think any Christmas movie, and I mean, I agree that with the color scheme of the poster, it would look terrible to have a green dress. But like, why make it that color scheme? It's not like there was some requirement. It had to be that color. They could have used any colors.
I mean, that's a very lazy poster as well.
Well, yeah, but it was so funny to me. Like, why go through all the effort to turn it into a blue dress? Why not just? It's bonkers.
They always do that. They always change the colors of the dresses, or because like you'll watch they'll be wearing that same exact outfit and it'll be a different. I don't know if I like that dress or not. I was like, I almost like it better on the poster in blue than I did in green. Mm-hmm. She looked very pretty though. I will say that, but I don't know.
Yeah, they've done it a lot of times before, like in the Coming Home for Christmas on Danica. She was in a blue dress in the movie, and then she's in a green dress in the poster.
They do it for that Jill Wagner movie too. Which one?
And
Christmas in the Mistletoe or whatever, because it's like green on the poster, but it's just a black dress.
And they also did it for Ashley Williams and I think Holiday Hearts. They changed her sweater color.
They do it a lot. There's a lot. Sometimes we don't even notice, because it is funny, because sometimes they'll be wearing stuff like they just do for the promo shots that are not in the movie, and you look at the poster and then you look at the promo shot and they're different colors. They even do it that way. when you don't even get to see those clothes.
And it's with Amanda Schull. I can't think of the name. It's not Christmas. There was one with her where they have her. It's actually a pink dress in the movie, and then it's blue. There's one with Peter Porte. It was not good, but I can't think of the name. But
I know that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I can't remember the name either, but I know. See, I like that movie more than you do, but yeah, it has dancing in it too, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's dancing, and she's like a museum curator or something. Anyway. This just was.
We could go on with the poster department and the decisions that Hallmark makes in that avenue, because
I would love to talk to somebody in the poster department, like in mad respect for the work like they do. I would just love to talk to somebody.
Like,
I mean,
how long is the discussion?
The tiny people posters.
Yes, exactly. Epic. How long does that discussion last on how big and small you make objects on your poster?
Oh, I would die. I would love if you're listening out there. I would love to talk to you. We would have a blast. Please.
I mean, they have tried this year. They've just put a picture of the person on the poster. See, but poster art, I believe, is a dying art. Even when you see at the theatrical posters,
yeah, that's just, true.
Nobody puts any effort into them, but it's weird.
So Hallmark got like a ton of flack, and they still do. You still see that meme of like
every year it pops up. It's like 5 years old.
The men and women in green and red, and whatever. And so they got a ton of flack for those posters, right? And deservedly so. But now this year, the problem I have with almost every poster is they don't even look like they're in love at all. Like they're like way far away from each other, barely touching.
They're combining two separate promo shots.
Yeah.
They don't even put
like cheesy over the cheesy hug prom, photo with the matching colors
together.
I'd rather have that than like it doesn't even look like they're in love.
No, they're just like, I'm looking to the side, I'm looking down. Let's merge these two different posters together to make it look like they're standing.
Yeah.
When it's so funny, because when you look at, sometimes they put it on the website or whatever, however you can find these pictures, because Hallmark doesn't really do a lot of promoting. They post the same picture over and over again. But if you have a chance to look through it, and you'll sometimes see the promo shots, and they have promo shots of them together, hugging or side by side, a little bit more playful, and they never choose those for the posters.
Right.
They always choose the forlorn ones, Oh, what I love is when they Photoshop things in their arms, like a bowl, like mixing a bowl or holding something, or the
worst one was the kittens
holding the bird.
The kittens of Christmas. That looked so bad. Well, anyway,
anything to talk about the movie.
Account. He gets what
a lazy ending too. I knew that was going to happen. I knew that they were going to be like, oh, you know what? You've been so good to us. Do you want to be this count? And he's like, could you imagine he said no? Because I'd be like, yeah, I'll be rich, live in this castle. Oh, I don't want to live in this castle. What do you mean you don't want to live in that castle? What are you, a fool? Sign me up to live in that castle.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Anyway, that's the perk of a job.
I give this one 2. I'll give it 2 crowns, but
I'm going to give it 1.5 crowns.
Yeah.
I'm being generous here. I just,
it's not,
these are good actors who work, who have, who like, there's been things that you do that's very enjoyable. They're good actors. I just don't think they fully work in this movie. It is boring and they don't have any fun. It's too serious for its own good.
When I think of How to Fall in Love and Miss Christmas and how great Brooke Dorsey is in both those films.
Yes.
It's like, why can't they get it? And she was fine in Dickens of a Holiday. It was more about his performance in that one. But and you just think, why can they not seem to nail what's her strengths? Why is she such a tricky one to cast correctly?
I'm not sure. I mean, you're right. She needed to have more energy in this movie. And I hate to like pigeonhole her.
She's just not she is not who you cast for the cynical tabloid reporter. I'm telling you, Kimberly Susted would have been so much better in this role. Or you cast her in parts that you need to be sincere and sweet and
optimistic. She has
likable.
that,
And
that optimistic feel.
that's when, I mean, How to Fall in Love and Miss Christmas, she works so well in those movies because she is completely sincere and likable, and you're rooting for her the entire time. And so that's when she works best. And anyway.
Yeah, agree.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hearty, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
So let's talk about My Norwegian Holiday. And this is director David Mackay, writer Betsy Norris. So it stars Rhiannon Fish and David Elsendorn. JJ, grieving the loss of her grandmother and seeking inspiration, stumbles upon an unexpected holiday destiny. Meeting Henrik, a Norwegian from Bergen, their connection deepens when he discovers she has a troll figurine from his hometown. So overall, what do you think of this one?
I had to really think about this one because I do like it, but then I don't think it's completely successful. But it is an enjoyable watch. It's very sweet. It is far more serious than I thought it was going to be. I thought it'd be a little bit more. There's more drama than anything else. I thought it'd be not necessarily a rom-com or light on element, but I didn't think it was going to be as just serious. It had a much more serious tone because left field out of what he's going through with his sports injury, that was a serious tone, and eventually what comes out about her family. So, but I was surprised nonetheless. I loved seeing other traditions and customs. I love that Hallmark has been more international this year. We've seen a lot of different customs and traditions and countries this year. It's a little bit more open that way. So I appreciated that.
This totally going back to the other movie for just 1 second. You know who would have been perfect for that role? And maybe she's not gettable anymore because she's just JC. But Jessica Lowndes would have been perfect to play the tabloid reporter. The snarky tabloid reporter.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Because she was snarky in that movie that she did with Jen Lilly. The Yes, I Do. I know you don't like it, but she was super snarky in that. And that was fun.
Yep. Yeah. Anyway, I think with this movie, I think a big thing to consider, I guess, for me is that was my expectations going into it.
Right.
I think the summary, I was hoping that it would be a little bit more weird.
Same.
I thought there would be some mysticism with the troll and maybe some like magic. And
I was super excited for this. I remember telling you, I was like, Rachel, I want to do this one. I'm super excited. It says a troll. I said, I feel like I'm going to get disappointed, but I did think it was going to be a bit more wonky. That's why I was so surprised it was serious.
That's why I said this one was pretty cute, although I was hoping it would be a little more unhinged given the troll element.
Yeah.
And so once you
troll too.
Yeah. Once you kind of put that aside, it's super cute.
Yeah.
It's a cute movie. And I liked both of the leads, and it is nice that both of the recent travel movies have had local leads.
Exactly.
Which is nice.
I found him to be a little stiff, but I don't know if that's because he was not doing it in his native language, like he's speaking English. So he might have been a little bit more stiff because of the language barrier. which you kind of
Mhm.
feel in his performance anyway. You do
But it's
feel,
just
you
kind of
know,
nice for
yeah,
in
it's kind
Heidelberg
of nice,
Holiday and
absolutely.
in this that you have like a
You
German
have,
and a
yes,
Norwegian
100%.
as opposed to just casting a British guy, which is
No,
what they
exactly. I
usually
agree
do.
with you. I love that too. Like, I love that they went to the local town. They've been doing that
Mhm.
more and more
Yeah.
and getting established actors. Because I feel like this is an acquisition, but I'm not 100% certain.
Yeah. No,
Um,
I don't know, but
but I do love
yeah.
when they use local talent because, you know, these guys, they're, for all you know, he could be, I don't recognize him, but
Mhm.
he could be a superstar, you know.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so
In
this could be a
Norway.
big hit over there. I also
Mhm.
loved when they rode the train. We never get to see those type of things
Yeah,
in
that was
travel
nice.
movies. You
Yeah,
know,
I would
like,
say that because a lot of times the travel movies can be pretty boring and
right.
disappointing.
It's just
Christmas in
like,
Vienna.
yeah, right.
And this was sweet
Yeah.
and it didn't just lean on the travel location. It like
No.
there was
They
enough
really walked
story
around
kind
the
of going
neighborhood.
on,
Yeah,
you know.
exactly.
I also thought when he says when social distancing became a thing, they said why so close?
Right. And I was like, oh, they acknowledged
The
that.
pandemic. They
Yeah, the
acknowledged it.
pandemic, which was sweet, you know, and I liked all
Mhm.
on the train. I also love why am I carrying all this duty-free wine? And he's like, because it's expensive over here. I love that because
Yeah,
normally
that
you
was
wouldn't see that
good.
in a Hallmark movie. Like,
Yeah.
no, we need to get our booze because that is true. If you know anybody and you've traveled, I've had this before. It's been a long time since I've traveled overseas or anything, but
Mhm.
they're like, get some booze at duty free, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
but you
I
know,
mean, the reveal in this, I mean, there's a couple different reveals. The reveal uh that this woman at the beginning wasn't actually his
that didn't
girlfriend.
play that well, did
Didn't
it?
really make much sense. Like, why
Didn't
would he
make
have an
much
assistant
sense.
if he was just over in the States to have the surgery? It
Yeah,
doesn't
he was
really
like
make
he was
sense.
recovering. He was doing,
And what would he have done that would have made this assistant so upset that
so like she's like, you don't know what tea I drink? I was like, huh? Oh, I said in
what?
the beginning when I was first watching this movie, I didn't really tweet that much because when I was watching it, I went back and rewatched it because I wasn't feeling that well the first time I saw it. But it is a sliver away, especially in the beginning, of being a lifetime thriller.
Yeah.
Like when he's like,
Yeah,
hey,
no,
and
it's
he pulls
true.
up at her school and he's like, take this ticket. I was like, I've seen 1,000 lifetime movies that start this
It
way.
really isn't that different than the Stalked by a Prince.
No, I know.
It's
It's like
basically
this.
the same plot.
I was like, oh my word, just with like literally turning a light switch on and off, this could have been a woman in peril movie.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Lifetime's bread and butter.
But there were some really nice moments in the script, and the script really elevated this. And
Yes.
I thought the leads were both really sweet and fun. And but like I thought the whole thing with the three different kinds of love in
Right.
Norwegian, that
Was
was
very,
very sweet, and
yeah.
that was really nice. And that in America we only have the one way, or in English only have the one
Right.
way to say I love, but in Norway we have words for different kinds of love, and
Which is so much better than the
yeah,
way we do it, I think, when they
right.
were explaining it. I also loved how they explained things and it came off in a more natural way. Like
Mm-hmm.
she's like, hey man, I don't know. How do you do this? And it didn't feel like they were talking down to you or like, hey dummy, or like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm a stupid American. I don't know.
Right.
That happens a lot in
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah, it wasn't like,
Um,
here, let's sit down and like they do in a lot of the Hanukkah movies, which
right. Like
can be
let's sit down
very
and,
clunky. Let's sit down and
let me
explain to
read the
you why we're doing
spreadsheet.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let me read the spreadsheet.
Hate
No, I
that.
felt very natural in conversation. I loved seeing the traditional wedding attire too. That
Because
troll
the truth,
forest was something else.
yeah, that was fun.
You
The
know?
truth is that when you're especially if you're in a foreign country, or if you're at somebody's, celebration that's different than your own, you just kind of usually, most people just kind of go with the flow, and you might hear like, oh, a little bit here, a little bit here, kind of get
Yeah.
context and stuff. And maybe you might do a little bit of research before you go. But most people are fine. All most people care about is why something is important to the person that you care about, right? And that
Yeah.
as viewers, that's all we really care about. We don't really need to know like the backstory or the cultural significance or the
No.
whatever. We just need to know what is important about this tradition. And I've used this example before, but on the show Heartland, they have this whole tradition that they just made up about giving different members of the family rocks on the chimney, on the
Right.
yeah, and they have this whole like ceremony and that they do, and it's like meaningful when a different character gets a rock and whatever, and it's completely made up, but like it's important to the characters, and so
so it's important.
so
to
it's
you.
important to us as viewers. That's
Yep.
all that matters.
Yeah.
And it's the same way, like it's the same way with kind of anything like this, that all we need to know is that we don't need to know the complicated backstory or like the complicated, we just need to know, why is it important? Why is it impacting our characters? What is, special? What is special about it? And I think this did a pretty good job with that. Of like everything was kind of, everything that was explained was kind of connected to her grandma, connected to the troll, connected, because sometimes these ones where they're like researching something can be really boring.
Yeah. And and they helped each other. I love that moment. I did think it was a little too convenient when she found her grandfather, but you expected something like that. You only have so much time in the movie.
Yeah.
But I loved that when she's upset, like it's a lot of emotion for her to take in. She's lost she's lost her grandmother. She lost her mother very young. She never knew her dad. There's a lot to take it, and now she's got a granddad. There's so much emotion, and that when the grandmother tells him, and he goes looking for her, and he's limping, and he runs to her to give her that hug to make sure she's okay when she's walking back home. I thought that was so great. Like he was like, my leg, I don't care. I'm going to run to her. I'm going to comfort her because she means something to me. I thought that was such a touching moment. And it really showed how much these two were growing. Not just like they were falling in love, but there was a real friendship that developed first before they fell in love. And I just love that moment.
Well, and I thought that his journey was pretty good as far as him. He's been, I guess, in the States for 2 years. He's trying to find his way back, and if he can, what's going to happen to him now that he's not an Olympic.
But what I also loved about it too, he wasn't really that accomplished in his goals. He missed making bronze. Yep. And then the second time he went up, he completely wiped out and hurt his leg. And I found that so refreshing because he was so close to glory, so to speak. And then he failed, and it was okay. He had to work through those feelings because he felt like he let everybody down, and he had to work through that. Yeah. And I found that refreshing.
Well, and so then when we find out about Anders, and we find out that he's the AAA on the troll, and that he's actually her grandfather and everything,
and his coach, conveniently,
and his coach, and he says that to him that what is he? Let me find it. That he says that we in the team, and I accept you. Do you accept you? Is basically what he says. The only person mad at you is you.
Exactly.
So that was a pretty good moment. I also thought it was pretty funny when he gives her the key, and then his
grandma.
Yeah, and then his family's is like, no, you used to stay with us, and they were all like fighting over her, which was,
and he's like, she'll have a whole apartment. She's only got a bed. I also loved how she kept calling it a duvet, because we don't really call that over here like that. I was like, oh, well, it's just a bread spread or whatever, and she's using the proper title, and I was like, very nice. Very nice.
I thought the whole wedding was very sweet and well done.
What did you think of that dress, Rachel? Well, at first I didn't know what to make of it, and I was like,
it because I felt like it was handled correctly, because it wasn't treated as like, it wasn't treated with like camp or silliness. It was like treated like very respectful of their culture.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't know if that's really like I'm unaware of if that would have been a style for them, but it grew on me. At first, I was like, oof, but the dress totally grew on me. I loved how the brother and sister were dancing like goofballs at the wedding when they were dancing together.
She didn't wear it very long, because then she was back in that other outfit.
Yeah, but it was really funny, them dancing. It was very sweet. Their love story too. Like even the sister got a decent, like when you hear the backstory of how they fell in love.
Yeah. Well, it was like, cute too, so the whole proposal scene.
Right. It was so cute.
Because I guess the day of the wedding or something, or when was that? Like, anyway.
That was the day of the wedding,
like a tradition, the proposal.
that he would ask her the day of the wedding. I don't know if they yell out skull every time they drink. I mean, I know that's a thing, but I'm like, I don't know if they do that every single time. But
well, and I have seen the cake with the layers, the ring layers. That was fun.
Well, I know that's an actual thing there, but like I don't know if they yell it every time they drink. I mean, I was like, they didn't even yell it that much in the show Vikings every time they drank. But I was like, okay, we know where we are. We get it, but it could be, and I could be wrong. My apologies.
Yeah, and this is starting to feel like fate. Good thing. It's a good thing you don't believe in fate.
They did kind of. There's always sort of. They did kind of almost make it like fate with the connection between her grandfather. I'm so glad she mentioned like DNA, because I was like, you're just gonna automatically accept this man as your, and she did kind of like, I don't need a DNA test. I was like, thank you for mentioning it.
He says, I will take the DNA test.
I was like, I'm so glad somebody mentioned that. Yeah. And I was really glad when she's like, you could be a serial killer or an art thief in the beginning when he's offering that. So there was that sense of, like, did I be doing this?
Yeah. And it was, so then he gives her the Northern Lights crystal, and they take her to the Northern Lights. Yeah. That was a big thing this weekend.
Oh, so many, yes. There's so many. Oh yeah, they do it too in the Prince movie, right? Yeah. You don't get to see them. You just look at their expression. They didn't throw them. They didn't even get stock footage of the Northern Lights up in there. Looking at them going, ooh, here we get to see it.
And it's if he says, if you ever feel lost again, you'll know where home is and that you are loved.
Oh,
that was very sweet.
It's very sweet.
And then they get interrupted, and it was a pretty great scene.
Oh, when she schools them kids, like,
says, I don't think this man is going to kiss me, and it's not going to be stopped.
You're gonna walk away. You're gonna mind your business. I appreciated that.
That was
just like, not today. I'm gonna kiss this man.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. So overall, I enjoyed this one. I give this a 4 out of 5.
Same. The more I talk about it, the more I like it too.
Yeah,
it didn't quite live up to my expectations. I had low expectations going in because I was like, this can't be what I dreamed of it. But once you let that go, it's really it's the best of the weekend. But I have not seen the Sunday movie, the Mahogany movie yet. So, but of the 3 that I watched, definitely the better.
Agreed. Yeah. Well, let us know if you're listening what you think of these 3 movies. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section or on Twitter. And Terry, where can people find you?
I'm at Twitter at Flurry Heaven.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure that you're following the podcast at Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. We really appreciate it. And I've been trying to take in the feedback that we've been getting, and so please leave those reviews. And if you are watching or listening on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have our Patreon group, which is such a fun way to help support the pod and be able to participate in watch-alongs and other activities. It's a lot of fun. So check it out. And then we also have the merch store where you can get tons of fun designs if you're looking for the Hardy, Hallmarky, or postable in your life. Check out the merch store. We'd appreciate it. And thanks so much, everybody. And Merry Christmas. Bye, everyone.
Merry Christmas. Bye.